The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Kelly Olson. We are back. Last edition of the season of the Mets in the Zone. The Mavens are here. Robert Cole, Marty Rose. How you guys doing?
I'm doing fine, Ralph. Thank you.
Okay,
doing good,
Robert. You're struggling with your knees a little bit. All part of getting a little older, and I think I'm the senior, so among us. I hear you, and if it's not one thing or it's another. I've just by observation of people getting older, something to get you one way or the other, and I hope you can get through this and not have to face the most severe of the solutions. In any event, I will go on and tell you guys and the audii that this was one frustrating season for a fan. Or is it just me? Every day seemed to be another injury, and my first solution, I'm rambling a little bit, but my first solution for making the team better is to get a training staff that won't have 18 hammies go on the IL. Got to be something with that, and the stretching, diet, whatever they're doing now isn't working. Marty, elaborate.
Well, I don't recall a year like this one in any prior season. As far as the number of injuries was just staggering, and they weren't all hammies. You had your side issues. You had your arm issues, oblique. You had your arm issues with the pitchers. It was a little bit of everything, and what was amazing to me was the fact that through all that, they were still in first place for a good part of the year, while a lot of the top guys were out. So the fill-in guys actually did a very good job, but then with all the pitching injuries, it just became too much.
Right. When DeGrom went down, and I had a feeling he wasn't coming back, and they were kind of jerking us around because if you just the way it sounded from day to day, I think all was lost at that point. I could be wrong, but I thought that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Robert, you've been around the game as an umpire all your life, basically. Have you ever seen, not just with the Mets, have you ever seen injuries pile up on any level at this rate in all your years of being around ball?
No, never. And the thing I always point to is that they train too hard now. They work too hard. Okay, I have a friend who's a doctor, and one of his patients works for the Blue Jays, and she's in the physical assessment department. And what they do is they train specific parts of the body depending on what they want that player to do. Okay. If the guy's a base stealer, they work on his fast twitch fibers and certain things. If they want him to throw a pitcher and he's a curveball pitcher, they work on certain things with just that arm. So they're so specific right now. I think that they actually overtrain these guys.
That could be a good solution to it all.
Well, Keith Hernandez was asked on one of the broadcasts after several of the hamstring injuries, Keith, did you ever have a problem with the hamstring? He replied, I didn't even know I had a hamstring.
Right. Similar story to Dusty Baker, who spent an entire career never being on the DL and never hearing the word oblique. He had to be taught that. And now the injury is so common. Could it be steroids and what have you? Could they be still?
To me, one thing, Ralph, about the oblique, with everybody swinging for home runs, they're swinging harder. So there's more. They're more apt to have that kind of problem. And everybody's swinging for the fences or striking out. When you're striking out and you don't make any contact and you're going all the way around like that, you could hurt yourself doing that too. So home runs and strikeouts, both.
Yeah. Pitchers are throwing harder, and a case in point is DeGrom. Okay, here's a guy who, threw easily mid-90s to high 90s and very successfully. Well, he kept working and working and working, so now he throws more pitches over 100 than anybody in baseball, and now he's starting to suffer injuries. And, he doesn't need to throw 101 all the time in order to be successful.
Nope.
Right. And there's such a thing as pitching to contact to get an out rather than every batter having to be struck out. Let's put it that way. That puts a lot of pressure on you. And when you play for the Mets as a pitcher, there's pressure because any run you give up could cost you the game, given their scoring history, which let's explore. Let's go around the horn. Who to keep, who do you like, who don't you like? My big concern, should you keep them, shouldn't you, should you offer them? Conforto. Start with you, Marty. What do you think?
Oh, God. I think it depends what he's asking. If he's asking for mega bucks, which, considering his agent being Boris, he probably will. But coming off this season, I don't know. He did not have a good year, and he was one of the guys that was hurt, as usual. He seems to be always hurt at some point every year. And some of those shoulder injuries he had were pretty serious in the past. I think it just depends on how much he's asking for, Ralph. Maybe not. Maybe not. They got prospects. They got this Khalil Lee kid who had a very good year in the minors. He's 23, left-handed hitter. I think I don't know. It's definitely limited on how much I would give Conforto.
Okay, Robert.
Well, I think you offer him the qualifying offer, and I listened to Boris give a talk a while back, and some of his players that he represents who coming off bad years in their walk year, he talks about trying to get them a pillow deal. And a pillow deal is a 1-year contract with good money, which is easy for the team to swallow and gives his client the chance to prove themselves again. And basically, that's what you would be doing if you give him the qualifying offer. Now, the qualifying offer is probably going to be more than he would get even on a multi-year deal yearly. The qualifying offer is probably going to be in the vicinity of $19 to $20 million for the year. And I think you go ahead and you offer that to them, then it's up to them whether they take it or not.
Now, the pillow deal is considered a qualifying offer. Am I correct? So if he doesn't take it, you get draft choices if he walks.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's as long as you're assured of that, then, it's a crapshoot either way with him. I think I read he's a lifetime 250 hitter. Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know for sure. I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, that sounds like it could very well be.
Yeah. Well, so we know what we got, and sometimes knowing what you got is a good thing. At least you have experience with the player. I think he has enthusiasm. He wants to win. He wants to play well. He's not a Jake or anything.
Career 255.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, his potential is 260 hitter, 25 to 30 home runs, 75 to 80 RBIs, which is fine if you have other players who are producing a little bit more. And that was the problem this year. Nobody produced. And it put the pressure on everybody. The case in point is McCann. Okay? McCann was not supposed to be the superstar. McCann was supposed to come in, give extra defense, which he did, be a good handler of pitchers, which he was. And if everybody else was hitting, we wouldn't even be talking about him because he would have done what he was asked to do. But with nobody else hitting, the spotlight went on him as well. And he didn't produce the numbers that he did.
He hit 232, career 246. So, yeah, he had an off year for himself.
Right. Even at 246.
Yeah, it's not much. Right.
Not much. Do they look to keep him?
Well,
he's on the contract. He's on the contract.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he got a multi-year deal. I think he got a 4-year deal. So, yeah.
Okay.
And he's fine in the interim because they have a really good young stud in the minors working his way up who, if he keeps his head on straight, should be the real deal.
Yeah, this Alvarez kid, right?
Right.
Yeah, he's supposed to be really good.
Yeah. So, if you can get some other hitting, McCann's a decent catcher, okay? He can handle the pitching staff. But he's not the kind of hitter that, is going to give you big numbers. And that's the problem right now.
Yeah. When I think of catchers, I think nowadays of Sanchez with the Yankees, who is so horrible defensively. You're giving up so much. He doesn't throw out anybody. At least there's a chance with McCann. You say you got a chance?
Yeah, well, no, McCann. You can't really argue with his defense. McCann controlled the base stealing. He did a good job on that level. You need a good backup. Nito would be if he could stay injury free, and he hasn't been able to do that, since he's been with the Mets. So, that's a concern.
Yeah,
I've always liked him when he's healthy.
One of the pitchers, I forget who it was, said that Nito was the best catcher he's ever thrown to. Did you hear that? Somebody said that.
Yeah.
One of the starters. So, I guess he is that good.
Yeah. Alonso came out and said he doesn't want to be a DH under any circumstances. They
not
will
full-time DH. He's not going to be that.
No.
Right.
No. A lot depends on what they do with Dom. You know, Dom Smith had a terrible year, and you have to wonder, which is the real Dom. Was it the one from last year in that short season? That short season fooled a lot of people because certain players had really good short seasons and bombed this year. So
and vice versa, I'm sure. Some guys came out of it okay. Lindor got to get to the elephant in the room in terms of his long-term contract, certainly. And what do you think, Marty?
Well, I think that, it's his first year coming to the new league. He, it took him a while to get comfortable. I think he's a really good player on all levels, and I think he will get better in New York. I'm not concerned at all.
Okay. Robert,
yeah,
any concerns?
I second that entirely. He had just started to hit a little bit when he got hurt, too. I mean, he was just, starting to get his bat going, and then he got hurt, and then it took him a while again. No, I think he'll be fine. I don't think he's really a question or a problem at all. The question you have to answer now is, what do you do with Baez, who I've changed my mind on, and I think he should be kept if at all possible. And I think Marty felt the same way. So.
I do. Yep, I do.
He had a nice little streak there when he could have folded up after that thumbs down to the fans and what have you. He came back for a 3 or 4 week streak where he was hitting the ball and doing an awful lot. So I'm for keeping him as well.
Watching him every day, Ralph, really opened my eyes. I didn't think he was as good as he is, and he's elite. He's an elite fielder. He's an elite base runner, although he sometimes gets over aggressive. But he's elite in many, many ways. He has his detractors. As long as he is surrounded by, some maturity, I think he'd be a good addition to the Mets.
Yeah, there was a good picture of him sitting in Citi Field on the grass with his kid, and that was all over Facebook, and shows him as a human a little bit, and that's cool. McNeil to left.
I don't know about that, Ralph. I don't know about McNeil at all, to tell you the truth. He's got years left. I mean, he doesn't become a free agent until 25, but he doesn't have enough sock to be a regular outfielder. You need a better hitter out there. It's more power out in the outfield. I'd look to trade him. J.D. Davis is having hand surgery. I'd get rid of him too. They need to get they need a left fielder and a right fielder if Conforto's not coming back. So, I don't know what they're going to do there.
Any free agents out there on other teams that you guys would love to have?
I don't have that list in front of me, Ralph. I couldn't tell you about that.
Okay, I was just thinking off the top of your heads.
Well, one guy would be Chris Bryant.
Of the Giants, former.
Right, he's a free agent. So I mean, that's one guy that would fill the bill in either third base or left field, because he's played left field as well. So now I don't know if he liked it in San Francisco, whether the Giants are going to make a bid to keep him, but that's one guy that I would go after.
Yeah. All comes down to bucks with that, I'm sure, with the Giants. They're very conservative.
What do you think they'll do with the manager now that they've released Rojas out of his contract?
They have. I didn't hear that.
Yes,
that was today.
They did that today. Yep.
Good. They didn't leave him hanging.
No,
yeah.
But that's the reason why they need to get an executive, because
right.
the executive needs to be the guy that basically makes that decision. That's the boss. So he needs to make that decision.
That would be Theo Epstein, ideally. And I saw a blurb on Facebook today, limited amount of Facebook that there was.
Yeah, they were down most of the day. Yeah.
Right. I'm going, is it me? They didn't like the book?
No, it was somebody on 60 Minutes last night ripping the crap out of them. So that's what happened.
Okay.
Somebody crashed them today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That had to have cost millions of dollars per day.
Oh, sure.
For their revenue and their ads and this, that, and the other thing. That kicked them in the butt a little bit. And have to admit that when you go there and there's absolutely nothing, you wonder who. Did you guys get a message from me?
About the show?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Messenger was working.
For a while, and then that stopped too.
Oh, really? No, because Facebook was down, WhatsApp was down, and Instagram was down. That's all part of Facebook. Those three things.
Right.
Messenger, I don't have a problem with Messenger. I don't use it that much, but I did get your message earlier about the show. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I didn't get your message. I didn't get your message, Ralph, until I messaged. Is there a show? And then you said there'll be a show.
Yeah.
I didn't get anything before that.
Okay. It's a strange venue, but God forbid we didn't have it. What would life be like? All the numbers, all the contacts just disappear. Facebook dies. It would be a bitch. Good, bad, and indifferent. You can get by.
Oh, yeah. The worst thing would be losing contact with all my old friends.
Right?
The old friends I never see anymore, like you and, guys that are from the old neighborhood, and that's the only place I ever talk to people anymore. I never see anybody.
How many guys, Stanley Weiss and I weren't getting along, but Marty Horowitz, and you all went to my bar mitzvah together. That's 60 frickin' years ago.
Yeah.
To think that we put into proportion what 60 years is, let alone 70.
It's crazy, man. It is.
It really is. And thank God we have little boys' headsets. We're not dawdling old men. So what's new in the world? You got a war going on. That's what it sounds like. Did you know that I seriously, when I was a little kid, thought that those who spoke with accents, it just came on. You were getting older. So one day you wake up, how you feeling? I'm good. The next day, well, I got that. I don't know. I seem to be getting older, and I can't put my finger on it.
That's great. Oh,
I honestly really thought. Well, I honestly never did think that, but it did make for a laugh or two in my act. At one time, it was something.
Quick question, Ralph.
Yes.
Bruce Bocci, does he want to manage again? I thought I heard that.
I heard that too, and I think I mentioned we'd be very lucky to get a Bruce Bocci.
Oh man! Oh yeah!
That would be nice. That would come. That he'd go for He's proven himself.
Oh, yeah.
3 in a row. He's gone to the Hall of Fame. So it wouldn't be.
Does he want to come east, though? That's the question.
Yeah. That is the question.
I'd love to have him.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I would like to see a combination of Billy Beane and Bob Melvin come. That would be cool.
That seems to be the second choice after Epstein. Those guys. You know?
Right. Either choice would be terrific.
Yeah, well, they could talk to him now since the A's are done. So everything's on the table. But like you said before, they got to get a head guy in as soon as possible to get things rolling.
Yeah, and I would have hoped that they were exploring that already. Okay, especially with Theo Epstein, because Theo was not on the contract with anybody, so they could. They should already know whether or not they have a fit there.
He's just working for MLB.
Right. So there's no conflict there. As far as everybody else that's been mentioned, they're all on the contract. And then you have to get permission, which the Mets said they were going to do with Billy Beane and with the guy from Milwaukee. They were going to ask permission to speak to those guys. But that's probably going to cost them, a prospect or a player or something. That's the way that usually works. So we'll have to see.
I didn't realize that. That seems a little petty in a way, but I can understand it. Just to talk to them, it's going to cost them.
Well, no, not to talk to them. But if they actually decide on one of those guys and they're still on the contract where they are, then it would probably cost them something.
That I could more readily understand, and you always pay for quality brains at the top. Alderson was that. Alderson lost it in the last year or two. Sadly, he made very bad decisions on guys who were in the system that were having domestic problems or social problems. That could be vetted, and he didn't. But
he made in those decisions. He made some some bad decisions. He did some good things on the player side. I mean,
no question.
The Mets at the beginning of the year probably had the strongest and best bench of any team in the major leagues. Of course, unfortunately, all those guys wind up having to be starters. But had everybody stayed healthy, they would have had a very strong bench.
Yeah, if everybody had stayed healthy, they'd be in the playoffs, no question. Because there aren't many teams, including the Braves and the Phillies, that were running away with it. They were playing, I don't want it, you can have it type thing. Who are you rooting for, Marty?
Well, I really don't care at all. But I like go for an underdog, I suppose. Maybe the Brewers. They never win anything. So and they had a very good year. So I wouldn't mind seeing them win.
Yeah. Okay. Robert.
Oh, the Rays, of course.
How about the Dodgers?
Nah.
Okay.
They took the Dodgers out of Brooklyn. When the Dodgers left Brooklyn, it broke my heart.
And it didn't play havoc with my mind or anything when the Giants left. Just 5 years till the Mets. And as Halbach says, the Mets are cute, they're this, they're that. They never really replaced the Giants and Dodgers. They were meant to, but in a true Dodger fan, a true Giant fan, wasn't the same.
No.
Well, no. Yes and no. I mean, I stopped being a Dodger fan and I became a Mets fan. Did they replace the Brooklyn Dodgers? No, but they replaced the hole that was in the National League.
It's a new home team, especially where we could have freaking walked there on a nice day. 10-minute bus ride, Great.
Yeah. It was great. We living in Queens turned out to be okay. Good place to grow up. New York, so nice they named it twice.
That's right.
All right, good show, guys.
Yep.
What we're gonna do over the winter is maybe combine the Yankee show with the Met show, New York sports. It's going to be a long 6 months, let's put it that way. But we'll make a go of it. We'll have some reports keeping us all up to date. Robert Cole, thank you. Marty Rose, thank you. And everybody, thank you.
Great
thank
season.
You for listening. Next year will be a great year. Couldn't possibly have 60 guys playing. I looked up in August, and there were 60 guys who had played for the Mets. 6-0. I never remember. I never remember that.
Unbelievable.
Ever. Any team, not just the Mets. 60 players. Good luck. I hope the training staff lands on its feet. I hope they're in Poughkeepsie next year, picking their feet, as an old movie. What was it? I can't even think of it.
Yeah. In Poughkeepsie.
In Poughkeepsie. That's where they need to go, and I'll be happy when I read that. And until then, I got to say I'm rooting for the Giants and a little bit the Yankees. I'd like to see them win a little. I don't know why, but...
well, we'll see what happens tomorrow night. That's a big one. In Beantown. Yep.
That's right.
Whoa. One game?
One game,
Yep.
8 o'clock Eastern tomorrow. ESPN.
Be there or be square.
Absolutely.
Remember, Bocci.
Talk soon. Thanks for listening, everybody. California, New York, we love you. Adios.
And Poughkeepsie. Good night.
Good night.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.